You know that feeling? Like life is on repeat. The same day, same routine, doing the same things over and over again. You wake up, go through the motions, and by the time it's the end of the day, it's like you didn't even live it. It's just blurred. It's either you wake up, go to school, wake up, go to work, you come back, and you keep doing the same thing every single day. And then somewhere along the line, you forget, you lose your sense of wonder, you lose your spark. You don't even notice things anymore. I've been there. You even forget things like what clothes you wore yesterday because you just can't remember. But here's the thing, life doesn't have to be like that. And here's how you know, travel. Because when you travel, everything shifts. Suddenly, the world feels bigger, richer, more alive. And even though you don't know what you're doing, you're thrown into the unknown and all your senses come alive. You begin to notice the little things, the colors of sunset you've never seen before, and how different the culture moves, the way a new city feels or smells. Traveling is not just about seeing new places, it's about seeing life in a way you've never seen it before and unlocking consciousness of yourself and the world around you.
Spurred on by the global pandemic, individual and small group travel is becoming more popular.
No surprise, the coronavirus pandemic has had a tremendous impact on the global travel industry, and what the future holds for it is filled with questions.
Sometimes it gets really scary because there really isn't a blueprint to this. It feels like I'm leaving all my friends behind. I know it's gonna get lonely, I know it's gonna be difficult. The best I can do is say yes to every single opportunity I can. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Hey there, you are listening to the Jade Speaks podcast, and I'm your host, Jade Sola. Today, we'll be talking about traveling, and I have a guest. Yes, I finally have a guest. God is good. Somebody. God is good. So, and the name of my guest is Mariam Adedire. So, Mariam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Jade Sola's listeners. My name is Mariam. You can just call me Iri. My new name.
So, yeah, Mariam Adedire, certified solo traveler.
Eh?
I say certified because she has, traveled on her own outside the country, which is more than I can say for many of us. So, and she's pretty young. She's pretty young, so I won't give away her age. But yeah, now we know that typical Nigerian family at the end of the year, you're taking a trip back to your father's village. And if your family was the type that would like take trips out of the country, or you take trips twice a year, I'm proud of you. But a typical Nigerian family, your trips are to the village at the end of the year. Why do Nigerians take these trips? They typically do that to celebrate or to reconnect with family or just to spend your money. Just go to the village and spend your money. So that's typically how end of the year travel works. Nowadays, we're seeing more solo travel, more planned trips. Some people are digital nomads. They do this for work. Some people are travel vloggers and they just travel for work. But this wasn't how it was a couple of years back. Mariam, am I right? I mean, if you said you wanted to be a travel vlogger like 2 years ago, people would be asking you, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, they'd be asking you, what's that?
That
It's like you want to be jobless, you want to be broke.
That phrase was never mainstream onto like TikTok/Instagram. No one was thinking about that.
No.
It's family friendly.
Okay. So nowadays, people travel to celebrate, to reconnect with themselves, and people travel to find themselves. I took my first solo trip out of the country this year, and it was an interesting experience.
Tell me more.
I'll be dropping tips to help you travel, especially if you're going to be traveling to Nigeria, within Nigeria or Africa. But these tips would apply if you're traveling globally as well. Now, you are a foreigner and you're thinking, I want to come to Nigeria, or you're from a different African country and you're thinking, I would like to visit Nigeria. Or perhaps you stay in Nigeria. Maybe you're staying in somewhere like Abuja, you're staying in Jos, you're staying in Nasarawa, you're staying in PH, and you want to move around, you want to travel and see Nigeria. And the first place in your mind, you calm down, you sit down, you relax, and the first place you think you want to travel to is Lagos. That's a bad decision, I'm telling you right now. Lagos is a different country entirely. Lagos is not Nigeria. Please, please, and please. It's a different country entirely. You've never been to Lagos, you don't know how it works, and you just think, I'm traveling, and the first place just calm down, breathe. Especially for foreigners who want to see Nigeria. Unless you're the adventurous type, Lagos is going to rub you off wrong. They are loud, it's annoying, the go slow is exhausting. There are a lot of things you won't enjoy. So tip number 1, you're new to traveling within Nigeria, don't go to Lagos. Try somewhere like Abuja, or try Calabar, try Osun. There are many tourist attractions in this state for people to enjoy and explore. And if you're traveling globally and it's your first time traveling, you need to do your research on where you want to go to. If you're a first time traveler, you're new to travel, research where you're going to. You won't want to put yourself in danger. You need to know how it works. You need to know what exactly happens in the places that you're going to, and try as much as possible to pick destinations where you're at least certain of your well-being. You're certain that, I'll be fine in this place, my welfare. Places that make it easy for you to enjoy the journey. I mean, you're leaving stress. You don't want to go and enter more stress. That's my number 1 tip. How was your first solo trip? Just give us the dates. Let us know what happened during your first solo trip.
What happened? It took a while for my brain to completely boot. I mean, I figured things out. It took a while. Not that long, sha, but there's no harm in asking questions. I think that would be the main thing. Literally just ask anyone anything. The worst they can say is no. Maybe they'll look at you weirdly and then move on. But they will not remember you. So just ask questions, look around, read the signs, for goodness sake. I think that would be basically it. Read and ask questions.
So for some context, right, Mariam went to a country that wasn't English speaking. So the country that she went to was not an English speaking country. So there were obviously some gaps that needed to be filled. Did you learn the language before going to the country? And just how was their overall reception of you? I mean, you went alone. This was not a family trip. It was not something that was, planned. It was for a student exchange program. Am I right?
Yeah, basically. God bless Duolingo. And I think people understood English to a certain level. Not enough, but enough for them to describe stuff. And then I knew enough French to get by. But it was fun. People were surprisingly nice. Because I stereotyped that French people are so mean. I think I was just lucky that I didn't experience, racism and Islamophobia.
So would you say that trip changed your perspective on some things? Would you say you learned something, aside the student exchange program? Would you say you discovered yourself or found something new?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I didn't have a set plan for my life, but I think that will still be education related. But then apart from that, you don't really know how, say, behind we are, how our eyes have not opened until you see what other people have done, see what other people are doing, what other places look like. I mean, transport was the craziest part. You're going to class and then the bus ride is 5 minutes, walk there 3 minutes. So you get to the bus, swipe your card, go to class, and that's it. Easy as heck.
Then you come back to your motherland and you see somebody saying, change.
Change. Oh my God, that is another thing. Self-checkout. What do you mean I can just go to the store, scan my things by myself and leave? There's no one there that is, bending my bread into just to fit it inside a bag. But anyways, that's just besides the point.
It was the convenience as well, and just seeing how different things were. Life does not have to be shaky. It really doesn't.
It does not. And French guys are at least the ones we saw, they're so chill. You'd, I don't know, go to work, say maybe 9. By 12, you have your break. 2 hours lunch break, by the way.
2 hours.
Yes!
And in
Or maybe it
Nigeria, they're
was
making us
just,
work 8 to 5.
I don't, maybe the people I was in contact with, but that was mad. You have your lunch break, 2 hours. You can let us just go home, take a nap, and go back to work. We'll get them one day.
So now you've got perspective on things and you're going to further your education, right? Where
Yes, ma'am.
you travel to, God willing.
With the grace of God.
So for some context, all of you that are thinking Mariam is your age mate, she's not your age mate. Okay? Mariam's a final year student, she's not your mate.
Hey.
And she's going to further her studies where she traveled to. Personally, I traveled within Africa, but it was a solo trip and it was fun. I traveled by road to Accra, Ghana. I passed Benin Republic, Cotonou. Cotonou is so clean. Take a trip to Cotonou. It looks so lovely. Just learn French before you go. Togo as well. We passed Lome. Literally, the trip, these other African countries are so small. The trip from Lagos to Accra took less than the trip from Lagos to Abuja.
Stop.
I'm not joking. The trip from Lagos to Accra was like 6-7 hours. The trip from Lagos to Abuja was like 12 hours.
On to my next tips for traveling. My next tip is in 3 categories: miscellaneous, transport, and supplies. I'm going to start with miscellaneous. Book your hotels in advance. Get discounts. If you book in advance, you typically get good deals rather than getting to a new place and trying to find an affordable hotel. You should also get a MasterCard beforehand. MasterCard that works in different locations, so you can withdraw money wherever you are, transfer without having the hiccup of, okay, how am I going to get money? How am I going to spend money? So figure out your money first so that you don't go to wherever you're going to and start trying to figure out your money. And lastly, check out SIM cards. Even when you're traveling within Africa, once you go to a new country, the rates are different. The call rates, data rates are different, and you instantly start roaming. So check out Universal SIM cards, ECOWAS SIM cards if you're in West Africa, or check out roaming rates beforehand so that you stay connected to family and friends on your trips and you're not stranded. Lastly, for my miscellaneous is get a water bottle. Just not like plastic water, get like a water bottle that's light, preferably one that's like a thermos flask that can keep your hot water hot, keep your cold water cold. It's just so convenient. On to transport. If you're transporting yourself in a new place, you should have ride-hailing apps on your phone. Uber, Bolt, InDrive, Lyft. And if you're in the Middle Eastern or North African countries, you probably know about Kareem. And perhaps you're in China, Asia, Australia, Latin America, you probably want to use Didi Global Incorporated. These are ride-hailing apps. You should also have Google Maps handy. Download your maps offline. Get your maps offline so you know where you're going to, even if you don't have access to internet in that place. Google Maps will also give you great tips on buses, trains, routes you can walk to. That saves a lot of stress. And there are locations where you can rent vehicles, rent bikes, rent scooters for ease of mobility across your route in a new place. So download your maps offline. And lastly, for transportation, share your location with family and friends often. Try and share your location, on a daily basis so they know where you are, where you're going to, just for safety reasons. The last category would be supplies. For supplies, Google Maps and Yelp would help out a lot. And then check out the local cuisines and local markets, because they tend to be cheaper than the restaurants recommended by Google Maps, and they tend to taste better as well. Explore. That's why you're on a trip. Spend less, save more. Also, purchase with your MasterCard. Try and get discounts on your card. There are discounts for certain cards across certain countries, so that makes purchasing things convenient. The last thing I'm going to say to wrap up this tip is check out Trip Whistle Global. It's an application that gives you access to emergency numbers
for every country in the world. SOS emergency number for every country in the world. So it's a handy app. It's a handy. Oh my god! That's how I want to finish me. It's a handy app to have on hand if you're going to be traveling around. Ooh, yep.
So you can
And,
literally.
we got detained at the Accra border. I don't know why. For some reason, they thought we were a national threat.
I mean,
They legit thought we were a national threat. And they detained us for like an hour asking funny questions over and over again. And I was just like, Africa, everywhere you go. So there was a lot of bureaucracy at the border. But if it was a flight, that wouldn't not. I had conversations with people along the way. Like I had a conversation with this Togolese guy who was like, he left Togo to go work in Ghana. So he was a teacher in Togo, but he left Togo to go to Ghana to work as a construction worker because Ghana paid better. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And then I had a conversation with this kid who said they cut people's heads in Nigeria. Yes. We were like, oh, come follow us to Nigeria now. We're just talking with this kid. And he was like, no. He doesn't want to follow us to Nigeria. And they cut people's heads in Nigeria. I'm like, that's the projection that other African countries have of Nigeria. It was very bizarre.
but what did it smell like? What did different countries smell like? How this thing? I feel like everywhere smells different.
Okay, for some reason though, I noticed something when I came back. Like the air in Accra was lighter. I just go back to Abuja and it felt like the air was denser. And I could smell every oil and every oil air pollution. It was much heavier though. But particular smells, I didn't really note particular smells. But Accra
Maybe
is
there's
beautiful.
something you smell that'll just take you back to the
Back
moment.
to Accra. If I smell coconut water, now I'll probably remember Accra. I'm not even joking. Grilled gizzard. Someone grilled gizzard. Or egg. Accra,
Hey.
they chop egg for Accra.
Stereotypes.
They did. That aside, vloggers or people that or digital nomads. By the way, if you don't know what digital nomads are, listeners, digital nomads are people who work remotely while traveling to different locations, typically using tech and the internet to stay connected. So they typically do remote work like DevOps or, online marketing, content creation, software developers. Those are the kind of people that do digital nomad work. And when you see these people on Instagram or on TikTok, it can seem oppressing. But the reality of travel is much more different. Would you say?
But then I think a big part is not everyone has that time. I think that's what we should be most envious of. The time to just go around, look at things. You don't even have to spend a lot of money, but then just time.
It's not easy for everybody to take a gap year from school. You know how it was be like, I took a gap year. Nibo, where do you want to take a gap year to? I told my mom that thing after I finished senior secondary school, and she was like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. A conversation closed. Don't talk about it. It was during that COVID-19 time, and I was like, this is how my life is going to be. And I was just being very introspective. So I wanted to just take a gap year after school. And she was like, don't even play. So it's not easy for everybody to make that time to travel or take a gap year, which is why Nigerians typically schedule that trip around the end of the year. Now,
which is why Lagos is a mess in December.
Would you rather travel around or live in one place? Would you rather be a digital nomad, or you just prefer having a place to stay, working there, living there, that kind of thing?
Bro, digital nomad. I want to see everything, everywhere.
Do you think that's a Gen Z thing?
Well, I want to say maybe it's a Gen Z thing, but I think because of social media.
Yeah, because when you speak to older people, they typically talk about getting a good job, climbing the corporate ladder, settling down, that kind of thing. They want to take trips, sure, but they prefer staying in one place. So you like to travel around. What places would you like to travel to?
Right now, I want to go to Japan. Hey.
Oh my gosh.
But their work culture is so toxic. I don't know if I would want to do long-term Japan. Maybe a month. Even a month seems too long. I want
For
to go
some
to
reason, same
Japan.
here. I want to go to Okinawa, the
Yeah, oh
island.
my
That's small, like
god.
not like the mainland Japan, because mainland Japan is so advanced technologically and stuff. But like in Okinawa, it's like a smaller, much slower, much quieter part of Japan
Cozy.
with all the perks of Japan. I don't know if that makes sense.
And I saw it on TikTok, they have like white eggs, like egg white, and then the yolk white with their special chickens. But,
And that's what is in your mind. Egg white. Egg yolk white.
where's the yolk white? What did they put in it? I want to
Oh
eat
my
it.
god. So yeah, if you want to go to Okinawa, go because of egg yolk and egg white. Mariam said,
Exactly.
guys. So yeah, because Okinawa has a long life expectancy, and I just really like how quiet their life is. But I also like to go to the UK, London, Seoul. I want to go to Seoul, New York, big cities, and also smaller, quieter places.
So like, where is small and quiet?
Like I want to go to Kigali in Rwanda
Oh,
and just like
oh, have
school
you
there.
seen the
Cause
drama about Rwanda?
no, I have not. I have not. What's it about?
I thought something about a war and they're killing people.
Yeah. All right, I'll check it
Rwanda
out.
and Congo, I think.
Mm. Now there are many barriers that cause people to like refrain from traveling, and if you're like you're still living with your parents, you know that there will be hindrances to you traveling around, even for school or for work, or sometimes they just don't get why you are moving around so much. They don't get why you're choosing to go from place to place, from place to place. On to tip number 3. There are many barriers to traveling. Let's not even kid ourselves. And if you're in a developing country like Nigeria, there are more barriers, many foreseen and unforeseen barriers to challenges. So if you have a chunk of time, plan a thorough trip in advance. Plan your trips in advance. If you foresee a holiday, plan your trip in advance. And if you just want a small trip, you don't have a chunk of time that you can dedicate a trip to. Maybe over the weekend, go see a tourist attraction in a neighboring state or visit family and friends in a different state and over the weekend and just do a day in the life of your family member. Follow them around, experience something new. That's my tip number 2. It doesn't have to be a big trip before it's an enjoyable trip. It doesn't have to be on Instagram before it's an enjoyable trip. Explore, look around, go to a new neighborhood, try something different in your own state. These are all forms of travel. At least I think they are all forms of travel. Explore. The world is your oyster. What other
I
barriers to
agree.
traveling have you experienced, Mariam? Why people don't travel as much as they would like to?
I don't know about other people, but then the plane crashes that have been happening recently, that's like such a downer and it's scary. And when I was coming back to Abuja from Ilorin in December, guy, I could not rest on the flight back. How did they say? My heart was in my mouth, literally. We made the safe and sound.
So yeah, it can be difficult to travel to places. I mean, that's scary. But traveling doesn't have to be on a large scale. Traveling can be to your auntie's house in Kwakwalada or Ikorodu or Port Harcourt. It can be to your grandma's place in Akure, Aba, Onitsha. It doesn't have to be something large. In fact, this is somebody's sign to go and visit their grandma in Akure. This podcast is somebody's sign to go and visit their grandma in Akure. So traveling doesn't have to be on a large scale. And
Okay.
there's so many companies right now and so many travel vloggers. There are day trips you can take. Like in Lagos, there's have you heard of the Ijewele blog? She's a
No?
travel vlogger.
I'll look at up.
Okay. So there are travel vloggers now, so like, you pay 50K, you go on a day trip. Like, I think if you're in Lagos, you can go to like Abeokuta or something with 50K on a day trip. There's also Alma Hasinobi on Instagram. There's Farina Joe and there's Hey Nike. These are travel vloggers that are Nigerian, not necessarily based in Nigeria, but yeah, you can get some tips from their Instagram handles. Do check them out. I'll link them in the description of the podcast.
I've seen our page. Oh, this is nice. Oh my
Yeah.
god, trains. That's another thing. We should expand our train network. by like a lot.
Yes, because it will make traveling easier, right?
Bro, by a lot.
Because like a train trip from Abuja to Kaduna is like what, 3 hours. But if you want to do that by a road, God knows how much time you would spend on the road.
Hello, kidnappers.
And there's that as well. There's that as well. Not to mention the language barrier, heat. So pack all of you inside one small car with a goat. Do you want that for yourself? Write a petition today.
It's an experience, part of the trip.
With a goat.
They have
You are
feelings
the
too.
goat to be complaining in Nigerian heat.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. Now there's another thing that we don't talk about enough, which is the loneliness of solo travel. So both Mariam and I have done a solo travel, and my first solo travel was within Nigeria. I went for a work trip, right? And I went with a couple of other people. But it was still me alone. These people I hadn't known them for a long time. It was just like I'd known them for like 2 weeks, and boom, we were off on a work trip to a different state. And it was quite lonely because I had like an entire space to myself. And sometimes I'd just be like, somebody disturb me now. Just disturb me. Somebody just call me. Just come and knock on my door. Sometimes solo trips can get lonely. Mariam, were you ever, lonely during your trip? Or it was like, nope.
And was I lonely? My brain was just like trying to figure out how to get to my destination without being lost.
Okay.
But then I think I enjoyed the quiet time because I was going from my house filled with people to now being alone. I think it depends on perspective. Now, say I'd been living alone.
Okay.
Yeah, say I was living alone, me, and then traveling alone again, just me, might have been off. But I enjoyed the quiet time.
Okay. But for me, it was quite the opposite. So I was staying alone, and then, they were like, oh, we're going to this place. And I'm like, yes, human beings. So, because the only time I would come out was to like eat or something. And then after I've eaten, I'm back. I've gone to my room. I've gone to hide back. What am I doing? Because it was a different state. And there was the initial apprehension, of course, of going to a different state. Anywho, traveling does expand your horizons. It helps you see things differently. Things you had never considered, you begin to consider them because you went on a trip. I asked another Gen Z this question I asked you, and the person was like, they would rather move around a lot because they learn a lot from moving around than staying in one place. The person also said that their greatest takeaways from moving around so much was when you get to a place, study the way they act and try as much as possible to act that way. Like, don't go there and try to be Nigerian about it. Like, when you get to a place, try as much as possible to see how they act and follow suit. Like, you can't go to Japan now and be very loud. Japanese people are not loud. They don't like loud people.
Also, that they don't like eat when they are walking. I don't know if
They don't eat when they are
a
walking.
stereotype. Yeah, but like it's weird if you are walking somewhere and you're eating on the streets outside.
Anyways, there are many reasons you should take a trip right now. You should take a trip because you have the time and the money. You should take a trip because you probably want to see some place new, want to experience something new. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a big trip. It could be to your grandma's place in Accra. It could be to your aunt's house in Ogbomosho.
It could be to Ilorin, Kwara State.
Yeah, it could be to Ilorin. Just don't get kidnapped on your way. Don't say it's Charlie Solar that sent you. I didn't send you anywhere. My nigga, stay in your house. Stay in your house if you don't know the road. But what we're trying to say here is that traveling does expand your horizons. Check out the travel bloggers I mentioned. I will link them in the description below. Mariam, thank you so much for this conversation. By the way, this is my second episode with Mariam. The first one never made it out. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, thank you so much for this episode, Mariam. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Before we go, what's your takeaway from from traveling France and back, or from solo travel generally? What's your takeaway?
If you can travel, please travel. Go anywhere. It's an experience. You don't have to just be in one place for the rest of your life. You won't know stuff if you don't go out. And also come to Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria.
Thank you so much for that, Mariam. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners appreciated this as well. Hopefully this one makes it out.
So.
God,
Amen.
You see my consistency. We're going there. We're getting there. Consistency, we're getting there. Anywho, you have been listening to the Jade Speaks podcast, and I am your host, Jade Sola. Mariam, say bye.
Bye. Listen to Jade Speaks podcast. Follow the Instagram, share with your friends, like and comment. Money.
We should even organize something. But right now, I'm broke.
Or even this project, sucking the life out of me.
Final year project shit.
It will be fine. Oh, it will be fine.